Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. With a title like this, I'm gonna buy this film. Okay, it's just the way it is. All right. The fourth greatest B movie of all time, according to Maxim magazine. I'll take their word for it. All right. We've got Linnea Quigley and Gunnar Hansen in this film, which are two big names in the 80s and 70s. Gunnar Hansen playing the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Leatherface, and Linnea Quigley being in one of my favorite movies ever, Return of the Living Dead from 1985. That's where I know her most from, but she was also in Night of the Demons and a shit ton of other stuff in the 80s. She was everywhere. She's a cute girl. Okay, Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers is very much what you think it's going to be, and very different too. There's some surprises that threw me by surprise in this film. What we have going on is, believe it or not, Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers. But outside of that, we got this guy named Jack. He's he's a detective or a private eye or whatever, and he's given this case where he's looking for this woman named Mercedes who is a prostitute and is a suspect for a murder. And he's also on another assignment to find Linnea Quigley's character named Samantha, who's basically a runaway and ran away to the streets and whatnot. And her parents basically hired him to go find her wherever she was. So obviously, there's a lot of scenes where these prostitutes or hookers, get their johns and bring them home and then chop them up. You get a couple of those. And I love the beginning, the opening of the film. There's this title card that states that all the chainsaws in this film were real, and for people not to attempt any of the stunts at home, especially if you're naked and about to perform in gratuitous sex. I'm paraphrasing, but it said something like that. Like if you're naked and about to perform in gratuitous sex or something like that, please do not attempt any of these stunts. Now, were the chainsaws real? Probably. I wouldn't doubt it. But there is a scene at the end that makes me question, with one of the final scenes that makes me question if the chainsaws were real. At least if they were real, I cannot see them having chains on them, because basically one of the final scenes is these two girls, naked by the way, fighting each other with chainsaws and kind of like where their blades kind of touch each other and all that stuff. And if they had chains on them, I'm pretty sure that's a huge safety hazard for the chains to swing off and chop one of their heads off. So makes me wonder on that part. However, the vibes of this film is not just, it doesn't take itself seriously, but it goes a little bit more beyond that. This film really does feel like a spoof, and I mean like an actual spoof, like Airplane or The Naked Gun or something like that. Jack's character is really funny. His personality reminds me a lot of Ash from Evil Dead, and he's written to have a lot of one-liners and a lot of the wit and sarcasm and personality of Ash from the Evil Dead. Like, if you took Ash and you put him in a really B movie, like more B than Evil Dead, obviously, and gave it like a film noir vibe, because that's another thing that this film has. It has this film noir kind of 1940s flair to it. There's a lot of narration. Jack pretty much narrates a lot of what's going on, and it's very like smooth and slick, like you would see in a film noir. And there's that going on top of like the whole gratuitous sex and violence and gore and all that stuff. Also, this is an 80s film. This was made in 1988, and I wasn't expecting that. For some reason, I thought it was modern. I thought it was going to be a throwback. But it ends up being straight from the 80s. So this Blu-ray was released or re-released a little bit more modern. It says 2007, so it's not the newest Blu-ray, but it's definitely 27 years later. So like I said, it doesn't take itself seriously, but it also plays off as a spoof, like an actual spoof. And then the plot goes into this cult where there's an actual cult led by Gunnar Hansen's character, which they call, I think, the Master or the Stranger. And it's literally these hookers who kind of worship chainsaws. They're like chainsaw worshipping maniacs, I think they're referred to. And I just found that bonkers because I wasn't expecting that at all. There's this great dance scene at the end with Linnea Quigley. She's like covered in tattoos. She's completely naked, and she's just dancing all sexy for like 2 minutes before she gets into this like dual chainsaw naked fight. And it's short and sweet too. This film is only an hour and 15 minutes, so it definitely doesn't overstay its welcome. And it's got a lot of vibes going to it. A lot of things that I wasn't expecting it to go. A lot of places that I wasn't expecting it to go. And like I said, it doesn't. It's not overly long because a film like this shouldn't be overly long, and it comes and goes, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, I really enjoyed this film. Like this film was awesome. Very impressive. Obviously, a very low budget. I think between $60,000 and $95,000. I looked up, and they advertised another film at the end of it too. Now I don't know if it's a joke. I should have actually looked this up before I started recording, but they mentioned it's like teenage nurse or teenage chainsaw nurses or something like that. If that movie exists, I mean, hell yeah, I'm getting it. Especially if it's the same director. But yeah, this is funny. Like this is exactly what you expect it to be and more. Unrated, like it's not. It doesn't even have a rating. So, I mean, it's just blood splatter and bloodshed for an hour and 15 minutes, and it's glorious. So definitely recommend finding it somewhere if you're into this kind of shit like I am. And yeah, Hollywood Chainsaw Hookers was definitely impressive, and I had a good time with it, and has a lot of rewatch value as well. So subscribe to Morgan Film Fan if you like to listen to my voice or if you like my film reviews, and I'll be back with lots more. Check out the ones on the channel, and there's lots more to come. So until then, have a great night, and I will chat with you later. Take care and cheers.